my name is Lisa, lifelong Democrat, running for public defender, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what the PD's office does. So the PD's office is tasked with representing individuals that are accused of crimes that cannot afford to hire a private lawyer. I've been in private practice now since 2006, and for much of that time, I've spent a considerable amount of my own resources and time in representing folks that cannot afford my services, both privately and through indigent conflict lists, because those things exist. When the public defender's office has a conflict, they look to certain lawyers that are on a list to ask them to take that case over. I do that in both state court and federal court, and have been doing that for a while. I also worked at the public defender's office for Ms. Holt's first 4 years. And of those 4 years I worked there, 3 of them I was a division chief. And because it was the first 4 years of Ms. Holt's administration, I was part of the team that formulated and implemented new policies that she brought to the office. She's made some tremendous change to that office. She's brought it into the 21st century. There's no question that that has occurred. I'm a native Floridian. I went to college at USF. I went to law school at Stetson. And frankly, my proudest accomplishment, and I was just talking about this earlier, is that I've raised in my unique and blended family, I've had the pleasure of raising 4 children that we've managed to put through college. Much of the time that we were working on raising those 4 great kids, I was also running my practice and running back and forth to baseball fields and football fields and dance practice and softball and all of those things. So I've been busy, but I am very much looking forward to the possibility of getting back into full-time public service as your next public defender. I think I bring fresh ideas to the office. There are things that I'd like to see done differently. I'd like to bring an app to the office that allows both clients and the public to know everything that's going on, not only in their own cases if they're clients, but also for the community to see what the public defender's office is doing. That there's transparency, that there's fiscal responsibility, that there's accountability, so you can see where we're spending the money, how we're spending the money, how we're representing clients. Everybody, including the indigent clients that are represented by the PD's office, they have cell phones. They don't always have a laptop or a desktop, but they have cell phones because it's their connection to the world. They should have the opportunity to be able, at their own leisure, however it works for them, to be able to pull up that app, to see who their lawyer is, to see what's going on in their case, to look at their discovery, which is just a fancy word for the police reports, the videos, any other kinds of physical evidence that might be in the case. They have an opportunity to see that, to understand what's going on in their case. Because try to put yourself in the position of a person who is charged with a crime, that's looking at the possibility of going to prison, and not really understanding what's going on in their case. What I'm saying to you about that level of communication is not meant in any way to be disrespectful to or to be challenging the young lawyers that work at that office, that work their butts off at a job where they're not appreciated usually by their clients. This has nothing to do with their level of work. They do great work. There are great lawyers at that office. They're great lawyers at that office. But the communication with the client needs to improve. I know this because people will come to me and they will say, hey, I've been represented by the PD for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it might be. My family's been scraping together some money. They're ready to try to hire a private lawyer. I said, well, who's your public defender? Well, I don't know who it is. And again, I want to make something perfectly clear to you. That is not meant to be some sort of indictment of that young lawyer, okay? I know from watching it with my own 2 eyes, because I'm in the courtrooms every day seeing what's going on, that they're handed a card by their assistant public defender, and half the time you'll see it laying on the bench outside the courtroom. Okay, that's not that assistant PD's fault. But that person needs to, on their own time when they're ready, they need to be able to easily determine who that person is and what's going on with their case. That's one idea. Second idea, there is some artificial intelligence being used at the public defender's office today, but it needs to be more. And I've had some very interesting conversations with Stanley Campbell, who was here earlier, talking about his 15 patents in AI, which is just crazy. I mean, that guy is so smart, so well-spoken. Wouldn't it be great to have somebody like Stanley Campbell as our next United States Senator? But he was talking to me because he's really, I don't know if he said this, because I couldn't hear everything he said, but he has been in the healthcare field, and so a lot of his AI has to do with healthcare issues. But one of the things he was talking about with me several months ago was this idea that AI can help doctors and other practitioners pinpoint what medication is going to work best for you, based on genes, based on all kinds of stuff that I can't even begin to understand. How that would work at the public defender's office is there are a large percentage of individuals that are both represented by private lawyers like myself and public defenders that have significant mental health issues. And what you often hear from these folks when you're talking to them, when you're helping them gather records, when you're trying to understand what their issues are is, well, I was on that medication, but it didn't really work for me, so I stopped taking it. Okay, and that's when they end up committing crime because they're not medicated. So very often it's a condition of probation that people be medically compliant, right? But I don't know if y'all know this, but I mean, it's been my history in talking to these folks that it takes a long time sometimes to figure out what medication works best for you, okay, when you have mental health issues. And usually they don't kick in for 4 to 6 weeks, and you're going through all of this stuff and you're trying to stay on the right track. Well, imagine what AI can potentially do to make that better. And that's some of the stuff that Stanley's working on and some of the stuff that I hope that we're able to use in the future. Also, AI gives the young lawyers in the office the help, maybe not the best word, but one of the things that AI can do, and there are programs that are already in use at least one other public defender's office that I know that's down south, that enables the lawyers to use AI to summarize reports, to do timelines, to do a lot of what might be considered, I don't want to say grunt work, because everything that the public defender's office does in every case, everything that they're doing is super important to that client. But if you've got that ability to have a machine helping you understand your case better and cut down the amount of time that's being spent reviewing body cam videos, for example. Now we get them in pretty much every single case. I mean, it depends on the agency, but there's really only, I think it's only maybe Florida Highway Patrol that doesn't have significant body cam. But there are hours and hours and hours of body cam video to review, because you can't just kind of like, move the little cursor thing on the bottom and advance, because you never know when something beneficial is going to happen, or something beneficial is going to be said, or your client is going to give some nugget of information that he or she may not have realized was important, but turns out to be super important to the case. So those are again, it's not technology for technology's sake. It's meant to lessen the burden on young lawyers that have hundreds and hundreds of cases. I tell people all the time, when I was a division chief there, I generally carried a caseload of about 50. And there's a reason for that, because they were the more serious cases in the division, and because I had lots of other jobs to do as a division chief other than just handle my own cases. I was supervising and training and mentoring young lawyers and communicating with supervision and all the things that you do. Many division chiefs in the office now have 200 cases. And again, that is not the fault of the public defender. I am not suggesting to you that that's Julie's fault or Rocky's fault or anybody else's fault. There's a lot of crime in Hillsborough County. And frankly, those numbers have gone up. I don't know whether they've gone up because law enforcement is doing things differently. I don't know if they've gone up because Susie Lopez is doing things differently than Andrew Warren did them. But the numbers are up. And most of those people are represented by the public defender's office. It's a very small portion of folks that are accused of crime that can afford to hire a private lawyer. So those are some of the changes that I'd like to bring to the office. I hope that you see them all as being positive change, and I would appreciate your support. My website is Lisa for Public Defender, super easy to remember, all spelled out, lisaforpublicdefender.com. The cards that I've handed out all have my cell phone number on them. Please feel free to contact me at any time for better understanding of what the office does or what I think I can do better. So thank you, I appreciate it.